They got up 16-0, and they never looked back. They led by 31 at the break, and they will win it by 35.
There was a message sent. Knowing Juwan Howard, it was quiet. It was calm. But that message was sent, and his team responded after coming off that loss and left a bad taste in their mouth. This is how you want to play Big Ten basketball.
Hello, everybody. That's the way it sounded the last couple seconds of Michigan, Maryland on FS1. Welcome in. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome into the Maize and Blue Reviews Michigan Basketball Postgame Live. I'm Dennis Fithian. We are here after every Michigan football and basketball game. It is basketball season now, and Michigan goes out there with a new attitude here in 23, and it was a much-needed new attitude after what transpired on Thursday at the Chrysler Center. And Michigan comes back and bounces back in their home opener in Big Ten play, and they win it by 35. They deal Maryland their worst ever Big Ten loss, and it was over quick. Michigan jumped out to a gigantic lead. Maryland barely had any points at the half, and then just Michigan cruised. But Michigan played hard. I mean, they came out with intensity. And then they were hitting everything, and it was contagious. And almost immediately, if you're somebody that has followed this team, you say, if they could play like this with this kind of effort and intensity, all year long, back in 22, and certainly on Thursday, it feels like it would have been a different story. So there certainly was that message that was sent by Juwan Howard, and at least for one game received. And we will see if they're able to put together back-to-back games. And it's all conference play now. And, that's what's going on with Michigan. If you're somebody that's watching this or listening to it for the first time, we go live after the games. And so that gives you a chance to come on in and leave a message. Oftentimes, not tonight, throw it up on Twitter Spaces where you can call in and talk about the game. But, I'll recap it for you. If you missed this one, maybe you're watching football or whatever else, and you just want to, hear what happened with Michigan. I got you covered here. Michigan wins it 81-46. They move to 8-5 on the year, 2-0 in the Big Ten. Maryland 10-4. They were ranked. The Terps were at one point 13 in the top 25, and they dropped their second conference game. They are 1-2 in the Big Ten. And you look at Ken Pom heading into this game. Michigan gets a Ken Pom top 26 victory, as that's where Maryland was coming into the day. Michigan was back there at 66, but the Wolverines, you got that right. If you're listening, I'll read it to you. Michigan started out this game on a 17-0 run, and then it was 19-1 run at the start. The Terps didn't get their first field goal until almost 8 minutes into the game. Michigan was up by 31 at the half. It was 44-13, and Hunter Dickinson was dominant. Hunter Dickinson had more points than the entire Maryland team. He had more field goals than the whole Maryland team. Hunter Dickinson, 18 at the break. I like Kobe Buffkin's overall game at the half. You just look at the box score, and this would have been one where you're like, maybe you wouldn't have noticed this, but Kobe Buffkin, 5 points. He had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and a block at the half. You say that's a stat stuffer. He was very active, and a couple of those passes, very nice. I liked his entire floor game. We'll give you the rest of the numbers for the final numbers for the Wolverines coming up. But Dickinson's 32 he ends up with in the game. That's one shy of his career high. The Terps, these are a couple notes that you might want to know about the game. You're thinking, well, 13 points, that's it at the half. That's got to be some kind of record. It is. The Terps Baker dozen in the first half, the lowest point total Michigan has allowed in program history in the modern era. That was from Josh Henschke, the publisher of the Maize and Blue Review, putting that up on the posting board on the basketball thread during the game. Uh, if you didn't know, we have a thread that goes on during the game, and we just talk about what's happening there. Josh popped in there and put that little factoid in there. But this one, when you think about it, the effort and energy versus Central, and then what you saw here tonight from Michigan, completely different. Night and day. All the things that you would say about that. That's what you saw from the Maize and Blue against Maryland, and that's good because if they came out listless and played like they did on Thursday, you might have some big problems on your hand where you're like, what in the heck is wrong with this team? And you might be saying that anyways. And this is just one game. So, we're not throwing a party here. What we're doing is looking at this one game and saying, good job by Michigan. And now let's see it again because we did not see that on Thursday from them. So, that's where I'm at with it. And, Hunter Dickinson, the one thing, you remember when he was a freshman and he was looking over and he got a T in the first game at Maryland. He was over there gesturing to the bench or something like, what? I think it was like, why didn't you recruit me or whatever else? And, he, Dickinson, watching him now for 2.5 years, he is one of these players that we didn't do that tonight, but a lot of times he has to be engaged verbally or he has to have some kind of histrionics going to kind of fire himself up. That when you have a player like that, the opponents hate him. The opponent's fans, don't like a player like that. They say, he's like one of the most hated players, for sure, a villain, whatever you want to say. He is that, but it gets him going. Like whether he's over there talking to Tom Izzo or he's when he's got a shorter guy on him, saying he's too little or something like that. That's him, and he has mostly been able to back it up in his Michigan career. But there was none of that from Hunter this evening, and he was fantastic. He had the 32 points. He was just getting it, and he was just knocking them down. He was 13 of 16 from the floor, and remarkable. And I know that he has an attitude against and he's locked in when he goes against Maryland. I mean, he's got something to prove. There's no doubt he is motivated when he goes up against the Terps. That is for sure. Let's look at some of the numbers in tonight's game, and they're good. And when you win by 35, that's not going to be a surprise, is it? There he is, right up at the top. Hunter Dickinson, one shy of his career high, 32 points, 12 board, double for Hunter, 32-12. He had 2 assists, 13 of 16 from the floor, 6 of 9 from downtown. I see it says that he did not attempt a 3. I watched the game he did, so I'm going to already question if this official score here. I don't know. It doesn't mean anything, but I know that he shot a 3. I watched the game. TW2, he came out, knocked down he hit the first basket of the game. And you'd like to see more consistency from Terrence Williams II. If you could tell me that TW2 was going to come up and get 11 points every game, 11 and 5, and 4 of 7 from the field, and you just feel a lot better about Michigan and their chances this year. Doug McDaniel, the starting point guard now, he's a lot of fun. He had he's so fast and sometimes it's an adventure out there, but of course he's going to be a fan favorite. A diminutive point guard racing around there. I like him myself. 8 points, couple boards, couple assists, 3 of 8 from the field. This is the surprise in a game where Michigan wins by 35. Jett Howard, Michigan's best scorer, maybe Michigan's best player, just 6 points. He was 1 of 7 from the field and 0 of 4 from downtown. So a surprise when Michigan plays like they did and scores like they did and has their best player, possibly him or Dickinson, just scoring a half dozen. Mentioned Kobe Buffkin, how much I liked, the Wolverines sophomore out of Grand Rapids, how much I liked his game. He ends up with 5 points 3 boards, 3 assists. And let's look at the bench. Joey Baker had 7 points and knocked down the only 3 that he shot. Terrace Reed Jr. had 4 points and 3 boards. And Will Cheddar, he had an and one out there. I think he traveled, but hey, they didn't call it, so it wasn't a travel. He ended up getting 3 points. Isaiah Barnes, there's some people that want to see a little bit more of Barnes, and you see him here or there. What was it? The game against Kentucky in London. He had 2 3-pointers in the first half, and I was thinking, yeah, well, maybe that'll spark something and get him going. But Juwan Howard's looking for different combinations and different guys that are ready to step up and add anything off the bench. So if he was practicing well, and after that game against Kentucky in London, I think he would get more times. But it's not like he's got a bunch of guys clogging up, or hogging the minutes. There's available minutes for this Michigan team on the bench. So people that are like, I want to see more of Barnes. Well, maybe you will. But let's make it sound like they're burying him, and he's going to be some elixir for Michigan. Glenn, the third, got in there late. He's got Greg Glenn. He's got the sweet hair, and he knocked down a couple free throws in this one late. And you had some other guys. Almost everybody got a little run. Even Yo-Yo was in there and jacked one up late. Jace, hey, if you want to, I'll give you. I would think that Jace Howard would get a little bit more time. I don't understand that myself, but I don't know. I mean, he plays hard. He's got a little bit of game. He plays defense, so I'm surprised that he didn't get a little bit more burn. But just like people want to see, you always have. You're always going to have your thoughts about the rotation and guys that you want to see if you watch enough basketball, and if you watch the same team, you're like, hey, why not? Why not see a little bit more of this guy? I think that, to me is natural. Well, let's take a look at Michigan's upcoming schedule. And it's brought to you by the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football. That is at 1:00 weekdays, and I'll be with you at 1:00 tomorrow. It's traditionally like the New Year's Day football. A lot of people sitting around. Most people are off. And, we'll enjoy the holiday watching football. I'll be talking a little bit of football about the Fiesta Bowl. I will do that tomorrow at 1:00. But the basketball schedule upcoming for Michigan now after their Big Ten home opener. They'll be back at it Wednesday, and they'll be at the Chrysler Center. They'll bring in Penn State. That is a 7:00 jump, and you can watch that one on the Big Ten Network. Then they will hit the road up at the Jack in East Lansing for a matinee against the Spartans. That's coming up Saturday, January the 7th. And so the first meeting of 2 between Michigan and Michigan State, 2:30 coming up this Saturday. So that'll be one that you'll want to mark down for sure. I think, there's a lot of people, like I watch every game, even if I didn't work here. When I didn't work here, I watched every Michigan game. And when I worked in Detroit radio, I looked at watching like Michigan basketball games as just a hobby, because people weren't generally talking about college basketball. Few and far between. Like, you didn't need to watch college basketball unless there was something that went on with, one of the coaches or something. But, people were not talking about it. It's just the way it went. Even in the tournament wouldn't happen. So, but I always watch Michigan. And there's a lot of people that are like that. But now that football's over, you'll look a little bit closer. And then when Michigan plays Michigan State, it's like, there's a lot of eyeballs on that one. That was going to be my point in all of that. So there'll be a lot of people, honestly, coming out of the woodwork or anything, but, a rivalry. And, the last time, like, the football game will be brought up, and in the tunnel, all of that stuff. I think, all of that will be at least talked about, thrown back and forth between the two sides. So, and then they'll play basketball out on the floor. And the reception, which is never, I would say, friendly to the Mason Blue when they go up to East Lansing. I would put it, I don't say hostile, but the Michigan players are going to hear it from the Michigan State fans. They are, their football season was a disaster, and they want to take, if they want to pound a flash, however you want to put it, they want to beat Michigan in basketball and be able to yell and scream at the Mason Blue. So, I think we all know that. We'll see. Maybe Michigan can go up there and serve them up a big L. That would be nice. See if Michigan's, they might be able to do it. I'll tell you, if they play with the intensity and the way that they played today, I think they'll have a pretty good chance up there in East Lansing. All right. That is going to do it. Michigan wins it by 35, 81-46. Here after a Michigan basketball game. Talk to you at 1:00 tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And everybody have a great rest of their